So she went for begging. That's history. But somebody reported to the king of Belgium, Belgium was Protestant, Lutheran at that time, said Mrs. Lutheran children are begging. So the king ordered pension till she dies and the children become mature from the treasure. So they live comfortably. That's God's goodness. So Luther was a disciple of the Lord. She had no problem. He had no problem. She was also a disciple, but she had a little more sense of being a mother because every day, morning, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, breakfast had to be served. But the thing is, Luther developed the habit of disowning because that's a discipleship mentality. When we go into the town, we just go for a walk, but the window shopping, how much we love looking at things and stress. Ooh, that's good. And then even if we don't want what we do, we go inside, just browsing through. Then, persuading the husband, buy that. Why do you need it? I like it. That's the sort. So we needed to develop a discipleship mentality. For that one, the Lord had made discipleship with very severe conditions attached. Very severe conditions attached. Then only we can. So the importance of the discipleship is because it is becoming like Jesus Christ. It is becoming like Jesus Christ. So the ultimate destiny of following Jesus Christ is not the conformity we could achieve in one day. In conforming with Christ's image, we needed to shed a lot we have. A big piece of a granite stone, 4 feet wide and 2 feet thick and 6 feet tall, given to a sculptor. Make a Mahatma Gandhi statue out of it. How much of that stone needs to be chiseled away? This big here, only head is this much. So how much he has to chisel away? He starts chiseling. That's what the Lord is trying to do. For you to look like Jesus Christ, there is a whole lot with you and me that won't fit there. Our psychologically, sociologically, politically, our economically, and every sense there is so much in us we need to get rid of it. The Lord has made the conditions very strict. You cannot be my disciples unless. This whole business is looking like Jesus. Yes. You want to be like somebody? Discipleship aims at the full realization of conformity with Christ. As much we could do it today in the world, we do it by discipleship. And the rest we will achieve when He comes. Yes. Now in this pursuit of becoming like Christ, there is a part that could be achieved only now and here. The analogy of the stone cut out and dressed, at the stonery, so that it could be used in the construction of the temple. When the temple was constructed, instruction was given that no piece of stone must be brought there at the site and dressed there. It must be dressed there. Then brought it. So the Lord said that no living stone must be brought to heaven which is not cut and polished here. A lot of people are thinking that the cutting and polishing and all will be done there. No, it's not that easy. Then heaven will be a mess. The angels cannot walk freely. The Lord wants a lot of it to be cut out. people are not willing. No, they are not willing. The Lord does not want the dressing of the stone to be done at the site of the building. Disciples are stones that needs to be dressed today in this world so that the Lord could use us for His eternal purposes. Discipleship has eternal scope. Preparing believers for eternity is to be done today through discipleship. Discipleship is equipping us for it. You may say, what are we going to do in eternity? A whole lot. We have a lot of work to do there. Don't get the impression that in eternity we are going to sit down and they are just doing nothing. No, we're going to be engaged there. We're going to be engaged there. Some will be administrators for 5 cities and 10 cities and 50 cities. Yes. Recognition going to come there. So all this preparation has to be here. In Matthew chapter 16, verses 24 through 27, he explains very nicely why discipleship is very, very important. Matthew chapter 16, verses 24 through 27, explains why the Lord put such a high premium upon discipleship. You want, you can take 5 minutes break and drink your tea if you cannot do both together. I have no problem. The context of this passage, 16. We will start reading from verse 21 because 21 to 23 is the context of the passage. So we will start reading from verse 21 all the way to 27.
From that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and on the 3rd day be raised. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, Far be it from you, Lord, this shall never happen to you. But he turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan, you are a hindrance to me, for you are not setting your mind on the things of God, but on things of man.
Up to 27. Yes.
Then Jesus said to his disciples, If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what is a man profited if he gains the whole world and loses his own soul? Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? For the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will reward each according to his works.
Yes. Very strict conditions, right? But why Jesus made discipleship so hard? It's because discipleship is very, very important in the eyes of the Lord. That He states in these verses. The context is the Lord said, we are going to Jerusalem. We are going to go to Jerusalem. Oh, disciples were happy about it, I guess. They always like to see the temple and the high priest and all that. But Jesus said, yeah, we're not going to go do some shopping there. No, we are not going to do some picnic shopping, We're going to have some difficult time. The Son of Man, your master, whom you love very much, he is going to be caught by the leadership of Judaism. They're going to take and try him, and then they're going to hand him over to the pagans, Romans. They're going to crucify him and kill him. And Peter and the other 11 disciples, what were they following Jesus all these 3 years? What was in their mind?
Messiah King.
Yeah, the Messiah, the King has come, so he will establish the kingdom, defeating, throwing away the Romans. And then Peter already had his prime ministership cloth, stitched, and Peter, James and John and all these people, they all ready and they were, yes. So they were expecting an announcement by the Lord, hey, gentlemen, tomorrow I'm going to be
King.
the king. You ready to be prime minister, home minister, this and that? Instead, he's making an announcement, tomorrow I'm going to be killed. You can just think about the amount of disappointment they have. Peter being very, yes, what will I say, that he was very
Vocal.
yes, vocal and emotional and, and he just went to Jesus and took him like this and come here, he took him aside, dragged him and shaken him and said, "No, sir, you know why we follow you. I had a big business there, partnership business, with so many people in fishing, and now you're saying that you're going to die? No, never. We're not going to allow you to that." Yes. Peter was honest, thinking that he was talking some sense into Jesus. Because Peter thought that Jesus, maybe due to disappointment or something, he went out of his mind. People talk about suicide when they are depressed. So he probably thought that Jesus has a temporary depression. So he was trying to shaking some sense into Peter. And what did the Lord say? "Thank you, Peter, thank you, Peter." Oh, yeah, but for a moment my mind slipped away. What did I say? Did I say something about dying? No, I don't mean that. Everywhere I used dying, you just used ruling. No. He turned around, and looked at Peter and said, "You devil, get out from here. You are an offense to me. You are an offense to me. Because you are thinking the thoughts of man. Man's thoughts are always wanted to rule, wanted to be big, wanted to make money, wanted name, wanted to fame, right? That's what you are talking. You are an offense to me. Get out from here." Peter couldn't believe calling him devil. You fisherman or something Peter would have taken. But calling him devil and saying he is an offense to him, Peter couldn't. So that's the context in which the Lord said these verses, laying down some of the conditions. The context is in a conflict of ways. The context is Jesus going to die, disciples desiring to reign. It's a big conflict. Well, we all have that sort of conflict sometimes, right? When you tell people to do something or not to do something contrary to their expectation or desire, what do you expect from them? When I was in States, I was elder in the church, and one dear sister, she was a sweet girl. She was already 27 years. She got engaged with a boy she loved very much. They dated for so long, she said. She came to me one day and said, "Brother, I'm getting engaged with this guy. She's a nice guy. He's an engineer, this, that." I asked a few questions about him, and I said, her name. I said, "No, you're not going to get married with him. I don't think it is God's will. It's a mistake if you do it. I will never do it." She was so, she loved me, respected me, so she was not offended at me, but yet offended because she's already 27. She already dated him for some time. Now, I'm saying no. She could go and marry, but since she respected me, So I said, "I want you to immediately go take your phone, call him and say, calling off the relationship." It was very difficult for her to do that. She wrestled with it all night. She said she didn't sleep. But in the morning she took the phone and called him. I'm withdrawing the relationship. Actually, he was a divorced man. I found it out. That's why I said it. You don't marry a divorced person. Well, so she was very sad for the next few weeks. She comes to church, but there's no joy in the face. Everybody asks what happened. She said, "Oh, nothing." For nothing. I knew what she was. And then for the next 2 years, she was not even dating anybody, She's closing 30 years. The hope of marriage is gone. I don't know how she felt against me, but I told her that the Lord had somebody in His mind that would be better than anything you could choose. And then slowly that person came. A very nice, another engineer, but very nice Christian, very vibrant, committed Christian. By that time, I came over to India. But she called me and said, "Brother, your word has come real. The Lord has brought somebody into my life. Now I feel so happy." I said no to that other married. They got married. They write to me here and there and even show some fellowship also, They have now, 3, 4 children. They're very happy. And she writes that the Lord gave me the most wonderful husband in the world. What a mistake I would have done. I'm so happy I listened to my elders. But I meant to say that the conflict of the wills, even on marriage or employment or whatever may be, it's not easy. And discipleship is all about this saying no to certain things you so badly wanted and you love so much. But yet, the Lord knows that that is not the best for us. This is the same with disciples. Peter wanted so badly that prime ministership or whatever he was offering. And the Lord has laid the axe right at the root of the tree, that dream. Because death means, and that is also cross means for a Jew. The last thing that a Jew will desire, a death on the cross. It's a shame for anybody to hang on the tree. It's a curse. And Jesus is saying that one. So you know what Jesus did? Chapter 17 begins with the statements, after 6 days. Chapter 17 verse 1 says, after 6 days. In Luke chapter 9 it is after 8 days. This is exclusive counting. The day that Jesus called off, Jesus said off. Called everybody off. I give you 1 week. Go home. Think about it. Pray about it. You want to come back and be my follower, then my conditions have to be accepted. If not, you can go home. So there is no record of 1 week's activities in the Gospels. 1 week off. Everybody went to their parcels and everything. And I think when Peter walked into the home, how did he feel? His missus probably asked, "What happened? Never saw you this depressed. What's the matter?" He probably went and fell down, face down on his bed and started, sighing and weeping maybe. And of course, Matthew went back to the tax booth and so whether anybody else is there or can come back for the job. John went back by the seaside to see his father still mending the nets and all. So everybody is eager, but they went. But after 1 week they came. After 1 week they all came back. They probably had meeting together, I don't know. They discussed about it. They could have gone back to their business and this and that, but they didn't. Before their leaving, the Lord laid before them these verses 24, 25, and 25, 26 and 27. Said, when you're going, take these verses to meditate. These are the conditions of discipleship. And there the Lord also explained why these conditions are made. What's the reason? They are all the very strong conditions. And the interesting thing is, these verses all begin with the word for. Do you notice that? Verse 25, 26 and 27 begins with the particle for. For. Verse 24 says that if anyone wants to follow me, disciples, you wanted to continue with me, you have to follow certain conditions. What were they? Deny yourself, forsake all you have.
Take up his cross.
Yes, take up the cross. These very difficult conditions laid before them, and then he explains them why. For means because. For explains the reason. For. So those 3 verses explains the reason why Jesus put such a high premium upon discipleship. Verses 25, 26 and 27. They very clearly told the disciples why he put such great premium upon discipleship. Specific reasons were cited for the stringent demands he made for discipleship program. Verse 24 basically stated the great demands he made. They were required to make great sacrifices of life, not for a season or 2, but for the entire life. That not sporadically, but daily take up the cross. They have to become a pattern, a lifestyle. These were the conditions that demanded their total life to be surrendered. The disciples were asked to let go their grip on their own life. Something nobody likes to do. Christ made drastic demands simply because discipleship was so precious and so important. The returns for discipleship was eternally great. That's why he made them. The returns were eternally great. So those 3 verses tells us why we needed to understand them ourselves. Why discipleship is so important. It's very sad that we seldom understand it. Yes, honestly, very few Christians understood it. If they understood it, they won't be living the way they are living. Let's read verse 25 first. The first reason why the Lord put such a high premium on discipleship.
For whoever desires to save his life will lose it. And whoever loses his life for my sake will find it.
Yes, the Lord said, you have to lose something to gain something. You have to lose something to gain something. There is no gain without a loss. Now to get a degree, Bmdkat or PhD, how much you are losing, your time, your money, your energy, so much. Without that you cannot get it. Yeah, that's the way it is. Somebody wants to make money, he got 10 lakhs rupees with him, he has to give it to the wholesale rice dealer, right? Then he has to take his rice and come and sell it. He has to lose his money if you want to gain money. There is no way. Otherwise you have to be a pickpocket or something. You don't have to lose anything. But that's not Christian way. You have to lose something. What you gain and what you lose have some relationship. What you lose and what you gain have some relationship.
Uncle,
Yeah.
when we think of a good Christian lifestyle, we get mostly I relate to Old Testament people who lived a, normal kind of life. Like you look at the life of Abraham or Daniel or Solomon or David. That's the life that people generally talk about.
But even that life they don't. Take Abraham. To get Canaan, what he had to lose? He had to lose all his relations, his home and his land and property, everything. Right? What are we losing like Abraham? Take Daniel. To become the chief secretary in Babylon, what he had to lose? He probably saw his parents killed before his face. He had to leave his land, the promise, the temple, the worship, everything, right? Yeah. He may have been made even a eunuch. So what had he lost? So, who is there who did not? Joseph, he became the Prime Minister of Egypt, but what he had to lose?
14 years in prison.
So, people only talk about
The gain.
The gain. They don't talk about the other part. They think that, hey, we can be the prime ministers here, we can be chief secretaries here, we can have this, yes, but start your journey with them. Yeah. There is no gain without a loss. Whoever. Ruth became the great-grandmother of our Lord Jesus Christ, but she had to lose her family, her land, her relations, everybody, right? Going as a widow, not knowing even one person in that land, not knowing what she will live, what she will eat, how she will survive, nothing. Only, knowing something about Jehovah, she left. God ordered that. Yes. So whoever it is, there is something to forsake, your loss and your gain. So people, they talk about those things because they think that the latter end will be ours without the former. No, it doesn't work like that way. It doesn't work. We have to lose something. And here also this proposition is, you have to lose life to gain life. Whosoever will save his life shall lose it. Whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. There is a life you can gain by losing a life that you have now. And to put it simply, unless you lose your physical life here, you cannot gain eternal life. Not salvation is not talking about, Talking about life means the things that constitute life. Some poor man here, was begging and all that, then finally one of the children went to Dubai and got some money and all. We used to say that, well, he got his life now back, That means he got a home now, he got a bike now, what is he got a, things like that. Jesus is saying the same thing. There are two lives. One life on earth and one life in heaven. You wanted to get the life in heaven, that rich, that prosperous, that joyful, that recognition. Yeah. That life you have to get, you have to lose the life here. You cannot have both worlds best.